All right, it is the hour. I was hoping that we might give some other counselors a moment to join us, but I'm going to call the meeting to order. I'll start with committee members. I am Sarah Hamilton. I'm the chair of Urban Planning Committee, and now we have quorum. I realized we didn't have quorum because we were waiting for Councillor Paquette. Is Councillor Paquette online? I'm not hearing him, so he might join us shortly. Councillor Salvador.
Present.
And Councillor Principe.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us all. And joining us digitally or virtually, we have Councillor Jans.
Still muted. Hello. Non-voting.
And as well as Councillor Stevenson.
Good morning.
Joining us in chambers, and Councillor Knack.
Good morning.
Is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Thank you, Councillor Principe. Any questions or discussion? Please vote. Display the vote.
We're just waiting for Councillor Principe.
Yeah.
Verbal will work. Thank you. We have the vote. Thank you.
Display the vote. Thank you. That is carried. Approval of the minutes. Councillor Principe, did you want to move that?
So moved.
Thank you. Those are the October 27th Urban Planning Committee meeting minutes. Any questions on that? Not seeing any, please vote.
Just waiting for Councillor Principe. We can take verbal again, though.
Yes, affirmative.
Thank you.
Display the vote. And that is carried. I received no notice of protocol items. Is there a protocol item today? No? All right. Selection of items for debate. Anybody have a selection? Just for fun, I'm going to select 5.1. That is not usual, but it is totally within procedure to select items that are rescheduled. So we'll just try that out. Why not? We're all here. Any other selections? There's nothing else on the agenda. So there's no need to vote on reports not selected for debate, right? Okay. We have no requests to speak. And we have no request for time specific. So 5.1.
Can I ask a point of order? As a non-voting.
Sure. Yeah, go for it, Councillor.
So help me understand what you just did. So
Okay.
that report was due to be rescheduled by administration.
Yeah.
Right? At Agenda Planning Committee, they would have said this isn't ready or whatever reason we want to reschedule it. But you basically, as chair, is suggesting we override that and put it on today's agenda. Is that correct?
No, I'm not suggesting overriding it, but it's within the prerogative of committee to ask questions as to why it has been rescheduled. So right now it's a request to reschedule. So before committee approves that request, because it wasn't moved off the agenda at agenda review, this committee can ask why. So I thought it would be good practice for councillors to see how that process works, because things will move off agendas suddenly and you will have questions why.
And Madam Chair, is the scope of debate then limited to reschedule yes, no? Or can you ask questions germane to the entirety of the report and the topic?
It's just related to the scheduling of the report or the request to reschedule. Yeah,
Okay,
because you won't have the privilege of seeing the subject matter of the report. Yeah. So it's hard to debate. Okay. Does that satisfy your inquiry?
Thank you.
Great, no problem. But before we get to 5.1, are there any councillor inquiries? I received no notice. It's customary to provide 48 hours notice of an inquiry, but those do not need to be debated. So we don't have reports to be dealt with at a different meeting, but we do have a request to reschedule a report. So for posterity, Ms. McCabe, could you provide us some background on why, obviously you know alternative landscape options for boulevards and turf was a hot topic this election. What is the reasoning that administration needs more time for the report?
Yeah, great question. I'll pass it over to Ms. Massinis in operations to provide some context on that.
Yes, thank you, and good morning. We are looking to reschedule this particular report to do some further engagement work on the alternatives for landscaping. At this time, we are looking at coming back to committee on March 8th. So it's a little bit more of a specific timeline, but that will give us a further opportunity to do some more fulsome engagement.
Wonderful, thank you, Ms. Massinis. And when you talk about engagement, who are you looking at further engagement with? What was the gap that you're looking to, that you didn't get this time around?
Yeah, so we did hear a lot from citizens and really you know what we mean by a lot of these alternatives. So we're looking at community groups, you know, specific community leagues, and individuals that have self-selected in terms of, you know, who we heard from the most on this issue, and that's what we'll be focusing our efforts on.
Great, thank you. Ms. McCabe has something to add here.
If I may add, a lot of these reports get rescheduled because we do a first pass of engagement, and we'll hear and we'll learn from Edmontonians. And as a result of what we learn from Edmontonians, we quite often want to do another pass of engagement to understand a bit more before we bring recommendations forward to you. So when you see these reports being rescheduled, I'm going to speak not just to this one and specifically, because you're going to see a lot of them at Urban Planning Committee, because in Urban Planning Committee, a lot of what we're doing is listening and learning from Edmontonians prior to bringing reports here. So it's not necessarily a reflection on the project management skills or on the team's approach, but a lot of times it's because we want to learn more from either specific community groups, industry groups, before we bring recommendations to you for your decision-making to council.
Thank you. That's very helpful, Ms. McCabe. That satisfies my questions about the rescheduling of this report. Did anybody else have questions about 5.1? All right. At committee, the chair can move things, which you can't do in ordinary council meetings. So because I selected it, I'm satisfied. I'll move it. Any further questions? Please vote.
Madam Chair, another point of order. Is this a common occurrence? Do we have regular reports that need to be bumped, or is this kind of a hangover from this disjointed election calendar?
That's a good question. It is very ordinary to see reports moved off, and part of it's agenda management, and part of it is, as Ms. McCabe described, a need to provide more information. Administration would be anticipating some of the questions or gaps that we would see around this table and look to provide us to produce something more fulsome. So,
Ms. Chair, sorry.
Sure, just a second, I'll get to you, Councillor Rice. Please display the vote. I should also note, Councillor Jans, that not every time a report is rescheduled, that was carried with the absence of Councillor Piat. Not every time a report is rescheduled does it need to be selected, but I thought this was a good opportunity to talk about that process. Councillor Rice, you had a point of order?
Sorry, I think my e-script and then it's loading, and that is why when I try to ask questions already moved to the vote. So I have a very quick question, and it's regarding this sports.
Just a second. So that was carried. You had a question on the rescheduling of the report? Am I to understand that? Okay. You're free to interject verbally if like your e-scribe isn't working and we're about to carry a motion. You can just say like, hold up, I had a question. There's a technical interference. So, Madam Clerk, we did just carry the report to be rescheduled. Should we reconsider?
Yeah, would have
Okay.
to.
Could I get committee to reconsider? Or would somebody be willing to reconsider the rescheduling of 5-1?
I'll reconsider.
All right, thank you. I'll just take unanimous consent on that. Okay, I see committee nodding. All right, Councillor Rice, please ask your questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And so my question is about two questions. One is, so this report is quarterly report, or is just is like the report as requested? And I would like to know the timeline for the reporting process.
Somebody from operations would be best to answer that. Is this a motion-driven report, or is this an annual report that we bring to committee?
No, this is a motion-driven report on the alternatives to landscape options. So this wouldn't necessarily be an annual report, but we are responding to a specific question.
Okay. So if we move from like November 9th and to the first quarter, 2022, and for the first quarter, that means we delayed this report and about 5 months. And so that's my understanding for them reporting timeline perspective. But how this impact, if it's motion driven, is not quarterly report, is not annual report, what's the implication, and for is there anything will be impacted by this delay?
No, so there is nothing specific to current program work that would be impacted. It is motion driven, but it is, however, aligned with some of the work that we have done around reimagine of services. And so when we're talking about the engagement component and how we want to do some more fulsome engagement, what we will be able to do is provide better information to committee should there be a need to make a decision on future program work.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there additional questions? Those were really good. Thank you for asking them. All questions are good, but constructive. Thank you. Is there a motion to, I guess, acknowledge the request to, I'm losing my words, to move the request to reschedule reports there?
So moved.
Thank you, Councillor Salvador. Any questions on that? Please cast your vote.
We're quite slow this morning, so we could do verbal.
Okay, I'll take a show of hands since committee members are in the room. That is carried. Thank you. So we have no public reports. There's no responses to councillor inquiries. I received no motions pending. Is there any, and there's no private reports, is there any notices of motion or motions without customary notice today? No? All right, then we are adjourned. That is the longest meeting without a report that we will probably have. Thank you for joining us.